Great. So, first question is, why are you running for governor?
So I'm a lifelong Minnesotan here, and I've been a teacher and principal and administrator in a U.S.
Yeah,
Navy, retired U.S. Navy. I'm one of the original whistleblowers of the daycare fraud. In 2016 and 2017, I was working with a task force that was exposing the money couriers that were coming from
yeah,
Minnesota. And that plus my time as an administrator and a teacher and a farmer, we are in a situation where my skills and attributes and experience over the years lends very well to getting on top of all the fraud that's happening. And
yeah.
I believe I'm the best person to really dismantle what I call a criminal syndicate.
Great. What are your main priorities for Minnesota?
Obviously, the fraud is a big priority.
Yeah,
Dismantling the long time legislation and policies and bureaucracies that have been put in place
yeah,
with the intent to fraudulently take people's tax dollars and do everything other than what it was intended for. The economy is a big part of that, and that comes from overregulation and overstepping the
yeah,
responsibilities of the state. The state has been too aggressive and inappropriate in their mandates, unfunded mandates, which then are passed to the counties to try to find a way to pay for things that are
yeah,
mandates from the state that they never intended to fund. So the economy is right up there with the fraud, and they're interwoven together because they'll impact each
yeah,
other. The the next there's probably a list of 100, but our schools and this ideology that has taken over the state for many years now.
yeah,
It's not just recently. We have I'm a teacher. I'm a former teacher. I'm an administrator.
yeah,
I'm currently the executive administrator of Divine Mercy Catholic Church and School, and it's not about whether it's private school or public school or homeschool.
yeah,
It's about the fact that our Department of Education has overstepped its boundaries and is playing around in people's lives that has no business playing with. It's not about
yeah,
community service. It's not about social programs or the welfare of the group or welfare of the people. Um, they have stepped into an ideology that's causing harm to our children. So
yeah,
education is a big priority. Infrastructure and energy is a big priority because we have a group of people who have sold Minnesotans a
yeah,
lie about energy, and it is a lie. They have participated in some very egregious propaganda that has used fear, what I call fear for profit. Fear for profit in the sense that they're going to levy taxes and fees and agendas against
yeah,
the hardworking Minnesotans to allegedly pay for an energy policy that is doing other than what they said. It's not actually causing protection of the environment. It's actually going to cause harm. In fact,
yeah,
it's so egregious that they've actually farmed out the power backup and grid to the five-state area, including Canada, who still use coal. So there's a level of hypocrisy and dishonesty
yeah,
about energy policies that is actually very harmful. And so we will bring forward to the surface immediately a relook at all the energy policies, including lifting the nuclear moratorium. There's some
yeah,
very exciting technology that is far and above what anyone discusses publicly, especially our media. They're not discussing the advances in nuclear technology that are very
yeah,
exciting. So energy, education, economy, those are obviously the top things. And then reducing the size of government in general will affect all of those pieces
Yeah.
of the puzzle.
So what are your measures in terms of the economy and of course tax policies?
My measures, or my assessment.
Yeah.
So our tax policies, again, have been built on fear for profit.
Yeah.
Our tax policies are built around notions that if we have this program or have this ideology, we will improve the lives of our constituents. What has happened is the opposite. Not only have the policies they've put in place harming our citizens,
Yeah.
it's worse than that. Much of the money is going to other priorities that had nothing to do with what was originally given to the public as a
Yeah.
reason. So much like the taxes and fees that we're paying to subsidize Medicare and housing assistance and the autism clinics and all these
Yeah.
things that you now see in the public, how badly these were abused, that money hasn't stayed with us. It's left the state, and much of it has left the country. And
Yeah.
you've maybe heard some of my videos before. I am one of the people that can prove to you that our taxes helped fund um, inappropriate activities throughout the nation and overseas, terrorist
Yeah.
activities, in fact. So the taxes and especially the unfunded mandates are crushing our communities, and our counties at the county level, they're becoming very distraught over this because
Yeah.
we are leveraging property taxes to the point where people are just giving up and leaving. They're
Yeah.
literally moving to other states.
Yeah, that's a problem. All right. In regards to education and schools, you mentioned this ideology that is, right now inside schools and not protecting children. What are your the measures that you would like to implement or see implemented in regards to that?
Yeah. So hear me out and bear with me on this. So it starts with a reduction of the Department of Education
Yeah.
administration and a removal of the policies called Due North. And it's a policy that was implemented by Tim Walz.
Yeah.
There's a list of items in Due North that are completely unacceptable, whether it's public, private, any school, homes,
Yeah.
children in general, it's just unacceptable. So we're going to take the Department of Education, the group of people that sit in an office in the Twin Cities that never see any children, and
Yeah.
two-thirds of those personnel are going to be removed. That two-thirds of the Department of Education are going to be reduced, including their buildings and assets, and sold back to or given back to the public. In addition, the one-third that are left over are not going to be working in a centralized building. We have an infrastructure of public schools that is perfectly healthy well, could be healthy. It's not healthy now,
Yeah.
but could be healthy at the district level. All these personnel will find themselves living in a district and working with children and assuring that children's needs are met, not
Yeah.
some bureaucratic, overbloated organization that's not doing anything for our
Yeah.
children. So then after you get a restructure and we've removed due north, we're going to reinstitute. I've written a very good paper on how I'm going to institute back to basics with education. I've written it's on my website on the news tab. You can look it up. It's awfully long to explain, but I've worked with a lot of teachers and a lot of administrators,
Yeah.
and we can start focusing on what would be called, you could call it as simple, you could use the phrase life skills, making sure that people are able to cope with life, whether
Yeah.
that's financial or emotional or spiritual, or cope with life in a much better way. And the money is to follow the child. We will work tirelessly to assure the money follows the child, public, private, charter, homeschool, the money will follow the child
Yeah.
so that parents can be empowered to do what is right for their children.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you also mentioned the energy policies that are not working right now, and that you would like to see the nuclear moratorium go away. So what are the specific measures you have in mind?
Yes, so the first we're going to do is we're going to tell the public the truth about the current energy policies.
Yeah.
The current policy of net zero or carbon net
Yeah.
zero type of ideology. First of all, I know it sounds awfully simplistic, but the fact that they've gotten away with the whole carbon narrative is quite
Yeah.
egregious to me, because anybody that's been to school at all knows that without carbon, there is no life.
Yeah.
Life does not exist without carbon. Okay, so net zero or zero carbon is a extremely inappropriate narrative that sells people on a dishonest concept that
Yeah.
doesn't have any validity. So we're going to start telling people the truth about the windmills and the solar panels, and especially in the northern states, what that means and how
Yeah.
these certain groups of people and um, their constituents or their associates have gotten rich off of these subsidies and schemes to develop energy infrastructure that is not viable for Minnesota, especially northern Minnesota. These types of policies were built off of fear and fear for profit. They don't care if it actually produces energy. The green energy concepts, many of them were built off of lies. So
Yeah.
what we have to do is we have to get back to basics of understanding. We have to have multiple structure of energy. We may have to re-engage some of the coal plants. We're going to have to look better at hydropower. We're going to have to look better in a different way of using solar or wind. It can't be used and subsidized in the way it is and expect the power grid to be okay.
Yeah.
Lifting the nuclear moratorium and putting in place some of these modular nuclear, it's a little bit of a boring conversation about the current advances in nuclear energy, but there's some really exciting stuff coming out with regards to modular nuclear
Yeah.
plants. And that can be very beneficial to us and stabilize our grid. It's also connected to some economic policies with regards to businesses having to think about leaving the state because they can't depend on the power. And then there's some regulations on businesses. I was up north recently to a couple of businesses where their backup power in their first iteration of building a way to have backup power, which is basically great big generators that are run off of
Yeah.
diesel, or the new regulations that the companies have to go through to have backup power to businesses, that if power goes down, they have to have a way to have backup power.
Yeah.
The new regulations are crushing their ability to develop
Yeah.
their own energy backup structure, and those regulations and permits that are needed to do that have become so costly. That's why we have lost some of the businesses
Yeah.
already in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So we can overcome those with getting sensible about energy and telling the public the truth.
Yeah. What are your stances on public safety, which is another issue that I think it's important to?
Absolutely, it is. Um, public safety, first of all, is one of the core missions of a state government.
Yeah.
Border security, protecting the people, is a core mission. Without
Yeah.
protecting people, none of the rest of the ideas or none of the rest of the goodwill or
Yeah.
compassion, none of it matters, because if you can't protect people, if you can't be safe, none of the agendas work anyway. So the
Yeah.
priority has to be in keeping people safe. And that does mean that people who are doing things illegally, whether you're a citizen or not, if you're breaking the law, you need to be held accountable. There needs to be
Yeah.
due process. There needs to be, you know, proper due process in the sense of people being protected, their rights being
Yeah.
protected. But essentially coddling and enabling criminals to somehow avoid some conflict with I don't know, the judicial branch, or
Yeah.
avoid some conflict with the community. It's a very inappropriate, unhealthy mindset, because it's just like raising a family. If the children are in your home, you're destroying your home, and mom and dad are not doing anything about it, and then they're coddling and enabling an abusive child.
Yeah.
Or flip it around, there's an abusive parent coddling and enabling an abusive parent to the point where the family is suffering. That coddling and enabling becomes the more unhealthy part of it, or as unhealthy as the abuser.
Yeah.
And this simple concept, although it seems very sensible to just say in a few words in a small conversation, but it's a powerful conversation, because it's the same mindset at the, city level, the county level, the state level.
Yeah.
If you're enabling criminal activity and thinking that you're being a good person or compassionate, you're not. The best thing we can do for each other to care for each other is tell each other when they're wrong. You're doing something wrong. It's causing harm to others.
Yeah.
You need to stop. And whether that's immigration, whether that's law enforcement of speed limits, whether that's law enforcement of stealing, so on and so forth, and the fraud, these things should not be coddled and enabled. They need to be
Yeah.
confronted. And yes, it causes discomfort. And no criminal, especially the organized criminals, they don't want to be caught. And of course, they're going to get violent.
Yeah.
By not enforcing it, they're going to be more violent, not less violent. And they're more violent with the people that are innocent, not the people that are trying to hold them accountable. So we're going to make sure law enforcement is protected in the sense of they're given the authorities that they need to do, and law enforcement that are out of control or inappropriate, they will be dealt with properly and
Yeah.
appropriately. But letting the abusers dominate our communities is much the same as going. I don't know if you've been to a psychology class or not, but or have been a teacher, or maybe you've been in your own family, you've witnessed a person who's violent and abusive. Coddling and
Yeah.
enabling them does not um, make the community safer or healthier.
Yeah.
Confronting them, and it gets uncomfortable. Confronting people who are inappropriate is uncomfortable. And we can't shy away from that. We must confront
Yeah.
behaviors that are destructive.
Yeah. That's right. All right. In general, what is your analysis of Tim Walz's term in office?
Tim Walz is a criminal, plain and simple. It's organized crime. He is a pathological liar. I say that with every ounce of my fiber, knowing the fact of everything I knew from active duty, and everything I've known in classified channels, everything I've known in personal channels, everything I've known in my work as a family, as a father, as an
Yeah.
administrator. He participates in organized crime. He knows why Melissa Hortman was murdered. He knows why she was murdered. He knows why several assassinations of multiple Somali men have been assassinated during the
Yeah.
investigations of fraud, and some of them became whistleblowers. And shortly in or after, during the process of convictions that have been many convictions of fraud over the last 10 years, those particular whistleblowers were assassinated from the Somali community. Tim Waltz knows this. I know for a fact, because of my duties in the task force I worked on, that
Yeah.
Mark Dayton and Tim Waltz, they knew exactly what was going on, and they were told by law enforcement and intelligence professionals how bad it was. They've known all along. And For example, I filed a federal RICO referral against Tim Waltz and Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith and Keith
Yeah.
Ellison. And I filed that federal RICO referral because it meets the criteria of federal racketeering. What they did was they one example of hundreds of examples, Tim Waltz hiring Optum, the kind of the brains behind patient management of patient billing, patient data, patient
Yeah.
billing and receiving for United Healthcare. Optum being hired to investigate the United Healthcare fraud or the Medicare fraud is literally like hiring the person that started the fire to
Yeah.
investigate the fire.
Yeah.
And he signed a check, something like $2.3 million or $3.2 million to pay Optum. That's like you and I having some kind of illegal business. And
That's illegal. Yeah.
once you and I exchange money and you do the illegal activity for the money I
Yeah.
gave you, and then on top of it, United Healthcare and Optum actually donated money to many of these
Yeah.
Democrat politicians. It's a level of racketeering and favoritism and pay to play system that has exploited our tax dollars. And they knew what they were doing. They can stand on camera and deny it, but they know what they were doing.
Yeah. Um, so, last question would be, if you get elected as governor, what are the things that you would like to do on the first few days?
So I have a really great, it's kind of maybe ambitious, but I have a really great 100-day plan. It's on the website. It's
Yeah.
right in the top three articles, 100-day plan. Something that sounds very simple, but 80% of Minnesotans agree with. We will put the flag back where it belongs, the actual Minnesota flag. It is not racist. It is not a bad flag. It is not,
Yeah.
it's a very, it's not just a piece of material. It actually represents a very strong part of our heritage. And that's a heritage of all immigrants, really, and Native Americans. What's really represented in
Yeah.
that flag really does represent the fabric of who we are as Minnesotans. No matter if you were
Yeah.
born here or no matter if you immigrated here, that flag actually is a good part of our history and it should be restored. It sounds a little simplistic or minor compared to
No, it
other,
is not. I mean,
but
it's important to maintain the heritage.
yep. And then we have a list of, I have a very healthy group of people that I have a plan to put in offices that I can appoint. I've worked very closely with a lot of very good people that I
Yeah.
trust. We're going to make sure that they get it in those offices and do a good job. We're going to make sure that people who are working that have merit in their job, not because they are some kind of identity politics, but merit, they're good at that job. We're going to make
Yeah.
sure that those people are actually brought into positions of more authority versus the people that have been failing. So we're going to be doing a top down, bottom up relook at who's got what jobs and how they're performing. And it'll be based on merit, not all kinds of crazy
Yeah.
ideologies. Yeah. And then yeah, just getting after developing communication and relationships. I mean, you and I both probably have witnessed, I don't know if you really relate to one side of the argument or not, but I've had a lot of success at talking with people that this isn't about right and left anymore, or Republican, Democrat, or this has literally become about right
Yeah.
versus wrong. And so I'm going to be developing relationships with everybody that will listen and everybody that will be sensible about protecting the citizens of Minnesota and assuring that we get out of their way, leave people alone,
Yeah.
stop messing around in people's lives constantly, and
Yeah.
trust people. It's I know, again, it sounds like a simplistic philosophical piece, but it changes the culture of how we interact with each other.
Yeah. Especially when you have this whole identity politics thing going on right now.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add.
I just thank you very much for reaching out to me. I'm anxious to see what you produce, and I'll try to pay more attention to your productions and connect with you. I'm assuming you're on social media and stuff, and
Yeah,
I forgive me, I haven't looked at your broadcast and stuff very much yet, but I'll try to pay
no
attention
problem, no problem.
and uh, and get more
I will
involved in
send you
that.
the video.
Yep, and just encourage everybody to really think about what's going on and get involved in the primary. I know we have a state convention process and an endorsement process, but
Yeah,
I don't know if we can maybe talk another interview someday about endorsement versus primaries and general election. But if you could
yeah,
do your part in helping people understand that getting to the primary and voting is very important, in August 11th primary,
it is.
very
Yeah,
important that people get out to vote. And it's very important that people get out to vote for the general election, and just engaging people and people out and
yeah,
get them past their cynicism. Too many people I see out in talking in the communities, they're so cynical about, well, it doesn't matter, it's never going to help, it's never going to
yeah,
work, and that
yeah.
cynical
All
attitude.
politicians are the same. Everything's gonna be the same. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. It's
hopefully,
sad.
yeah, people like you and I and many like us are starting to help people realize that
Yeah,
there's hope. There is hope, and we can get involved and we can turn things around.
great. Well, you have a nice day.
God bless. Thank you. Yep. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.